You did have the part down really good this morning. I was a little red. I was like, what? You did practice this shit?
I practiced it only yesterday.
Yeah.
You learned it. All right, guys, we're live. Hi, everybody. This is Marketer Brothers. Ricardo in Florida, Carlos here in Denver. We have a special guest today to our channel. We're with Ryan Bradley from the Bradley Law Firm. Ryan, welcome to the channel. This channel, for us, it's a passion project of us. You know, we've been in business for a long time, and myself and Ricardo, we were born in a family of entrepreneurs and developed as entrepreneurs over our lifetime. First started with working with my dad in his printing company back in when we were children, and you know, back then there was no child labor laws or anything like that, so he took full advantage of that. But what we got out of it is we got a lifetime of lessons and learnings to go and be entrepreneurs, and now, you know, this is what we do for a living, and we're trying to empower and encourage and motivate entrepreneurs all over the world with people that have succeeded as well in business. So welcome to Marketer Brothers. Thanks for joining us. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
No,
I warned them, man. I'm not very fucking interesting. I don't know. I think you're going to have
So you're pretty interesting, dude. Very interesting. Well, I don't know much about you. I mean, you know, I guess I'll introduce Ryan.
How do I shoot?
So we're actually just we're gonna share this in Ryan's feed real quick. Just that's it.
Okay.
And that's it. So I'll introduce him a little bit. You know, so Ryan and I have known each other for a few years. Our kids go to the same school. You know,
yeah.
And we haven't actually had a whole lot of a chance to talk. I know you're a successful attorney. And I know your practice is in Missouri, you know, and but throughout the years, you know, I mean, we've been each other in birthday parties, you know, just hanging out, and basically, you know, we actually recently started training together. You know, I kind of started a dad's group with just a bunch of dads from St. Mark's where our kids go, and we just, you know, working out in the mornings. And it's pretty good, you know. It's pretty good. It's just. I
think he actually felt sorry for me. Like, look at this out of shape fat shit that needs to get into the gym.
But you don't have a dad bod, so.
No, dude, it's definitely dad bod. Totally. And the sad thing is, I'm probably in better shape now than I ever have been in my life, which is really shitty.
Well, hey, it's never too late. That's what I say.
You know, it's funny because this dance group kind of started with a couple of our friends that you know, we're not getting any younger. You know, we're all in our 40s now, and people and just, you know, we're starting to get news from our doctors that, oh, you have high blood pressure, this and that. And a friend of ours, man, he straight up told me, dude, let's train together, you know, and I just. You know, I said, dude, you're my accountability partner because I train all the time, but getting up at like 5:20 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, dude, it's really easy to hit that snooze button unless you have a reason to show up, you know?
It is. And I told you, I mean, I don't mind getting up early as long as like get a full night's sleep, but I sleep like shit. And
yeah.
Like I'll wake up sometimes at 2 a.m. and I don't go back to bed. And I'm just like looking at the clock the entire time. And all of a sudden it's time to go train. And I'm like, this sucks. You know? But, you know.
You know, it's funny because Kane, our friend, you know, when he first started training, he was telling me that he was sleeping horribly, you know, getting sore, everything. But as he's gotten fitter, he's actually told me that he's sleeping better. You know, it relates a lot. You know, when you have that habit and you're actually getting used to getting your endorphins up and everything, it actually helps sleeping.
Yeah.
Or not. Yeah.
It also helps when your kids, you know, stay in their own room and they don't come down in the middle of the night and say,
that always helps.
Hey, I'm up. And I'm like, well, go back to bed.
So,
get your ass upstairs.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, I find that I need less sleep. Ever since I've been training, I need less sleep. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, and we had a dad that had sleeping issues, but I feel like I recover faster. The more I do, the more I train, I recover faster. And lately, man, they've been killing us in our gym. So I can relate to you guys as well.
Well, I'm doing it out of fear because I'm going skiing, hella skiing, with a buddy of mine that lives in Denver, right up there near you.
Yeah.
And, he's in fantastic shape. Rides bikes and mountain bikes throughout the summer and skis all winter, and is in good shape. And here I'm fat and out of shape, and can't run to the mailbox without being winded. So I got to do this.
Yeah,
for the next 2 months.
Dude, but believe me, once you get in it, and also, dude, you're gonna see. I mean, you can do way more with your kids. As soon as you're in shape, you can do so much more.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just helps you all around.
You do feel better.
Yes. Yeah. And where are you going hell skiing?
British Columbia.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
South Slocan, wherever the hell that is. It's east of the coast, like 150 miles or so.
Okay.
So it's kind of.
Have you ever been hell skiing?
Never.
I mean,
I've skied all my life, but not hell skiing.
I mean, that part of I that's one of my bucket list too, man. But it's that part of jumping from the helicopter. The part it just.
I don't know that we're jumping. From what I understand, we're landing and we get out, and then it's like first tracks. So.
I got you. Cool.
That's awesome. So. Ryan, tell us a little bit about your career, your path. How did you become an attorney? Was that something you always wanted to do, or you kind of tell us more? Because Ricardo tells me you're a very, very successful attorney. You're semi-retired now, correct?
So yeah,
I would not say retired. No, maybe you meant retarded. No. I mean, listen, I don't work 8 hours anymore just because I don't want to. But I have cut down on the number of cases that I work on. I work on the ones that I want to work on that are interesting. And, I'll work like maybe 4 or 5 hours a day on average. Some days I say, screw it, I don't work at all. And some other days I'll work 10 hours.
Well, you control your time.
Yeah.
That's all about.
I don't know what the word for that is. But once you get to that level in your business, I feel like you've accomplished a lot because now you own your time.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just owning your time, being able to do what you want, and that's what entrepreneurship really. That should be the end goal of entrepreneurship. Not necessarily buying 10 jets and stuff like that, but actually controlling your time and if you want to hang out with your kids all day. You can, if you want to sit at the beach all day, you can,
Yeah. I mean, the biggest move that I made was just moving to Florida 5.5 years ago. And, a lot of people thought I was crazy doing that because, of course, my law firm's in St. Louis. We've got a satellite in Chicago, but all my people are in St. Louis. And 5.5 years ago, I just said, listen, this is bullshit. I don't want to live here anymore. I'm moving to Florida. It was for tax reasons that year. Was the main motivation, but I also wanted to live here. I didn't want to live in St. Louis anymore. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. So I came down and gave it a trial run, worked out for a month, and now here I am. And I just go, it's Southwest, it's a direct flight. Yeah. I can go to the airport, flight leaves at 7 in the morning. I can land at 9 in the morning and with a time change, and be at my office if I need to. So it's really not that big of an issue.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So why Florida? Why did you pick Florida out of?
Look at my backyard.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. You got a point there.
Take some pictures of the backyard so we can post them on the interview after the fact, so they can.
Well, we can show you.
You show all the rain outside.
I mean, it's raining, but that's the backyard.
So I'm a boater, so I mean, my boats are in my backyard, and I love boating in Missouri, but it was a short boating season, 3 months or whatever. And, we would go down Friday and up to leave Sunday because the kids had stuff to do. And, it was like working. I go down there, you have to work already. And, it was a good day, a Saturday of boating, and then you just pack up and leave Sunday. And with kids, getting more involved in practicing stuff, which they're going to be rolling in here like crazy men in about 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it wasn't,
something
going to work out.
Ricardo, something you did when you moved the laptop, it's giving us feedback on the audio, so maybe move it to exactly where it was before.
All right, let me see. I don't know what I did, but
Jerry.
yeah, Jerry's in.
What's up, Jerry?
Jerry's a friend of ours from the Czech Republic.
Maniac.
We gotta find a way to interview that guy.
Oh my God.
He's something. He's something.
Okay, much better.
Yeah, is it better?
Yeah, you're perfect. Man.
All right, cool.
Awesome. So Ryan, how did you decide to become an attorney? What led you to that profession?
It was kind of, my dad's an attorney, and, throughout growing up, I mean, my parents kind of encouraged me to not be a lawyer and instead go into medicine. And thank God I wasn't probably smart enough to be a doctor, but that was the path I started on. And I got a job in college drawing blood. And back then they didn't really have any formal training and shit. You just kind of, they were like, okay, here, stick this guy that's literally in a fucking coma and draw blood from it. And that's what I tested on, I trained on. And they're like, okay, you're good. So then I was a phlebotomist, and I would just go around and, take blood in the morning. And so I met a lot of doctors, and every one of them was just not happy.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, you do not want to do this. So after about the third one telling me that, I was like, okay, this is not what I do.
Yep.
Plus, I started studying for the MCAT, and that thing is a bear of a test. And, I was like, you know what, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So then I was like, being a lawyer would be exactly what my dad does. And it seems to be pretty cool. And, that's the path I went down. So,
So then you become a lawyer.
Just by default.
Did you start working with your dad?
No, I got a job at an insurance defense firm straight out of school. I had interned at a few different law firms, but then I got a pretty good offer from an insurance defense firm, and learned car wrecks inside and out in terms of, the dark art of insurance company bullshit, how to defend cases and honestly, essentially be unfair to people. And honestly, and I didn't like that, of course. And then I got a plaintiff's case while I was working there, and decided to take that, and I left and joined my dad for a while. And he was is a general practitioner where I grew up. And then most of my time, though, was spent in St. Louis and not up there. So I ended up doing only personal injury work, and then ended up being there. And I had a partner for a year in 2013 in St. Louis. And then I went back on my own in 2014, and then moved here in 2015.
Okay. So you basically started your firm in 2014?
That's a good question. I don't know technically when I would have started I guess that the current iteration of my firm, yes. Yeah. I think that would be accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
But before then, I was in various different partnerships with different people. And then, for a period of time before that, even on my own. So it was more of like, a break, if you will.
Yeah.
In that company.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's successful attorneys, there's not so successful attorneys, and there's very, failing attorneys. What do you think makes the difference?
No, anymore, man, you got to be able to get the business in the door. And if you can't get the business in the door, you're screwed. Yeah. Assuming you can get the business in the door, then you got to know what to do with it. Yeah. And there are very few, I think, attorneys that have probably mastered both of those things. And in order to be successful, you really have to do both. Right. Times, any schmo with a website anymore can, try to, do a pay-per-click campaign or whatever and get cases. And, sometimes, for the consumer, they might be ranking number one, but that doesn't mean they know what the hell they're doing.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's it's a whole range of I mean, attorneys everywhere, you know, and everybody tells you they're the best, you know.
Any asshole can get a website.
Oh yeah, anyway, and they tell you they're awesome, you know. And dude, I've seen attorneys that, I mean, literally look like they're freaking great and they're in shape and everything, and then I mean, you go see them, man, and they look like they've been on meth for freaking 5 years. So, I mean, you know, you're like, no, man. I mean, what happened to the guy on the website? It's kind of like the Match.com or something. You know, like you see the guy, you see the girl, and she looks good, and then you meet her in person, and you know, it's a totally different game. You know, so.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even the same person that you see on the TV. I mean, literally, if you look at the TV and see all these commercials and shit, I mean, rarely are there the actual attorney that you'll meet that is on TV or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And then, you know, I think there's a big difference between practicing law and running a business. Because when you own your own firm, you have to do both. Like you said, you have to get business in the door, get those cases, do your job as an attorney, and also manage the customer.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, run employees and paralegals and all that stuff. So it's the big picture. And I think a lot of attorneys might be really good at the law, but they have, you know, they need the big spectrum of running a business from A to Z.
And listen, I've said this 100 times. I feel like I'm a really good lawyer, but I'm probably kind of a shitty employer. I just don't have the fucking bandwidth to deal with people's bullshit. And I truly value, you know, the employees of mine that don't create problems, that know what to do, that follow the directions that I give them, and, you know, just do it. And, you know, unfortunately, I would say more often than not, people don't fall into that category. And, you know, we've had a lot of turnovers just because I don't put up with the shit. And like I said, you know, I should probably have somebody else doing that.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good thing I'm here and not there. So, and they're probably watching this, but they know that that's the truth. And I believe in brutal honesty, and that's probably my truth. So.
Well, but
and Ryan, to be honest with you, I've employed hundreds, if not thousands, over my 20-year career. And I agree with you. The hardest part for a business is hiring and having good people that actually do what they promise you to do, which is, you know, meet the expectations of the job and even try to improve themselves over time. I think the environment counts big time, and you trying to be somebody that, you know, encourages them to do better. But at the end of the day, the person has to also take personal responsibility to, hey, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do better, I'm going to show up on time, I'm going to, you know, do as expected, meet my deadlines, which is, you know, I think if anybody has a job, those are the minimums that should be met.
Yeah. And people don't realize, I mean, you're also, I mean, being brutally honest, I think me as an entrepreneur, I think I've actually failed in that in the past where, you know, you're comfortable with an employer and with an employee, you know, and you know, he or she is doing a good job, and he or she knows that too, you know, but you're kind of both comfortable, you know, you've trained him, and you're like, man, you know, it's going to be tough to train somebody to replace him and stuff like that. And sometimes you waste a ton of time, and that person really wastes also a lot of time in their career because 100%. They're not happy, you're not happy, and it's just not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's sometimes being brutally honest with somebody, and just, you know, at the end of the day, it's business, you know, you're running a business. I mean, and they should be able to focus on their career. And so it's not always a good fit. I mean, people are so different that it's just, you know, it doesn't have to be a good fit with you or with me or with anybody. It's just they're not happy. And if you're not happy, it's better to be honest, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And I don't think you do them any favors by not telling them the truth that they suck, honestly.
Yeah. I just went up, I fired an attorney that worked for me for 5 months, and, you know, it sucked because I liked the great guy, but it just turned out he wasn't doing shit. And after we took a harder look, which maybe I should have been doing from the beginning, but I'm not a micromanager, man. I hire professionals so I don't have to micromanage shit. But anyway, after I started looking through it, I just realized, he really wasn't doing anything. But thank God that we pulled the plug on that relatively early. Of course, won't mention who it is because of, in any event. It was just a huge disappointment.
No, and Ryan, how hard are those conversations, though? As you, the employer, and you're hiring with this somewhat decent expectation that, hey, I'm going to partner with you to help you grow in your career and also grow the business. And then, you realize shortly after that, oh man, this is not going how it's supposed to go. To me, at least.
It sucks, but I think that I believe in being brutally honest. If I'm talking to a jury, or I tell them exactly what I'm fearing. If I'm talking to an employee, I tell them exactly how I feel. And sometimes it's shocking because I'm telling them exactly maybe how I feel, and that it was unexpected or whatever. But if you're not honest with people, how can they be honest with you?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I've always looked at it. I don't know.
I think
maybe I should have more of a filter.
No, Jerry watching and everything. I people from that part of the world, Russia and Czech Republic stuff. What I've seen with them is like they just tell you shit like it is. They don't mess around. It's like I don't like you, or listen, bro, you're fat, and it's just, and that's their culture. Their culture is just tell it like it is. Now, don't sugarcoat it. And sometimes we tend to, in this side of the world, we tend to sugarcoat everything, especially with political correctness and everything. We tend to have to step in eggshells because everybody's offended.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of watch what you say, but at the end of the day, we're all adults, it's when kids, your kids are going to show up, our kids, that's the big characteristic of our kids, right? That they just tell it like it is, man.
Yeah.
And we say, oh, that's mean or that, and it's not, dude. They just don't really know how to lie or sugarcoat stuff because society hasn't really put them in that bubble, that they gotta just watch what they say.
Yeah. And I think that maybe even, not to get political or anything, I think that the people like the brutal honesty that, Trump brings. I'm not a Trumper, but, the bottom line here, I'm not necessarily not a Trumper, but the brutal honesty. Now, he can be a complete asshole most of the time, but at least he's, usually brutally saying whatever he believes. And in that, I think people find that refreshing as opposed to the bullshit political correctness nonsense that, society has kind of adopted that is, in my opinion, just being fake.
Yeah, and there's a big, I think in the world, and we don't want to get into politics, but in the world, there's a big difference in what people say and what people do, right? And especially it tends to be in politicians, it tends to be super common that, they promise the world, they tell you all these super cool things and everything, but when you really see what they're doing, it's not what they're saying, and that goes with corporate America, that goes with in life in general, man. It's like, and the social media has a huge component of that, right? Everybody has this fake world, this fake, my life is perfect, my marriage is perfect, my business is perfect, and in reality, most of us know, man, it's hard to have a business, it's hard to be married, it's hard to be a parent, man. It like you said, man, it sucks sometimes. Your kids are freaking driving you crazy, but everything is, my kids are perfect, my kids are well behaved, and it's really not true.
I told you we'd only have like 4 fucking viewers. Nobody cares.
Well, we got 9. We got 90?
I thought we had like 4.
No. Yeah. People are joining, man. People are joining.
Yeah. No, and also a lot of people watch it in the replay.
Yeah.
Your word is your bond. About, like, for instance, I've got a case I'm working on right now. There's an $11 million demand out, expires Friday after Thanksgiving. And I promised the insurance companies that I would have my client seen by their bullshit defense insurance company doctor, so they could, see for themselves how injured this person was. And the lawyer was asking for just a huge bullshit unlimited examination, which the rule didn't provide. So I was like, bullshit. I'm filing a motion, and we had a hearing in federal court yesterday, and I won it. So technically, I could have been like, well, I don't have to send them now. But I knew that wasn't the right thing to do. I'd already given them my word that I would get them seen, but we didn't agree upon the parameters and scope of it. So, I called the lawyer. I said, listen, man, I gave you my word that I would, have him seen. We got to get this worked out because I want to honor my word to you and the insurance company. I want them to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
So his ass is right there in Chicago right now getting seen by the doctor, undergoing 8 hours of testing. Even though I didn't have to do it because I won the motion, we got it worked out and I upheld my word. And listen, as with any profession, if people can't rely upon you to do what you say, you're just a piece of shit, and you shouldn't get any business anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to, I honestly think that's a huge factor for your success. It's do what you say, and just uphold your word, man. It's so simple. Our parents, our grandparents, that was the bond, that was the bond. And some cultures, even in Japan, man, honor is everything. Literally, the kids have college kids have the highest rate of suicide because for them, honor is, if they do bad in school and everything, it's like they feel like they're really dishonoring their parents or their family by doing that. So unfortunately, that has changed a little bit in the whole in this modern world, But we got to bring it back. We got to bring back doing what we say we're gonna do, and just do it no matter what. Integrity. Do the right thing even when nobody's looking.
And that's the thing that people don't have anymore. A lot of people don't have, I should say, is integrity. And look at this fucking house right now. That is exhibit number one. I went through 3 contractors before, it finally got done. It was the worst 2 years of my life. Hire a Florida contractor and you'll know what I'm talking about, unless you really do your research and find the right one.
Yep.
But that's just, my experience. But I'm sure that people have got, their own experiences, and, whether it be buying a car or hiring a lawyer or whatever.
Well, but talking to our friends, you're absolutely right. That is super common. That nightmare stories you hear just among our friends of people just trying to remodel their house or trying to get any sort of job done. You have no idea how many people have come to my house and they're like, oh, dude, we want to get you hurricane windows and hurricane doors, and we have an appointment, and they spend all this time, and then they never show up.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, why did you even come to my door to sell me something if you're not even going to keep your first appointment? Do you really think I'm going to hire you if you can't even show up to sell it to me? Let alone install it?
It blows my mind.
Yeah,
this is probably an asshole with a website.
Yep.
No, and I think that's so very true, because I think we've all had contractor nightmares, and we learn along the way to interview these people almost like you're interviewing them to hire them for a job, right? Give me some references. Yeah. Give me some other customers that you work with so I can talk to them. You know what I mean?
And you know what's bullshit though? Like, I'm getting emails. I can pull up on my laptop right now. There are companies out there that send me emails that say, we can get you 150 reviews in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? A bunch of fake ass reviews? This is bullshit. And this is exactly what's wrong.
Yes.
People, some asshole with a website can get a bunch of fake reviews and look like they know what they're doing and look like they're a good business. But, literally businesses are making money basically doing fraud.
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
It's just,
dude, you as a business, I get sometimes these invoices, right? That they look completely legitimate. that there's just an invoice from a company, right? On say whatever consulting services or making a website or something, and they look completely legit. And I've had that my accountants are like, should we pay this? And I'm like, we've never even heard of these people.
Yeah.
But they send an invoice, and if you have a large company and you don't have a smart accountant, I mean, those things are being paid automatically, man, and it just happens to show up, Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny thing in our industry for plaintiff lawyers is that there are these bullshit companies out there that are accreditation companies. Like they'll give you a plaque if you want to pay $200 for the plaque, or a certificate if you want to pay $100 for certificate.
Yeah.
But it's like $500 to join.
Okay.
And then it's like the multi-million-dollar whatever forum, right? And it basically, if you fucked up a $10 million case and you got $1 million, you can join. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's all there is, and you pay money, there are probably 10 of them out there. I get emails from these new ones that crop up all the time. And if you don't have this, everybody else has got it on the website, or a member of this organization and this organization, and it's like, well, do I really want to perpetuate this bullshit? And do I join it? And that way I can say, yeah, I'm a member of that too. Or do I just say, listen, I'm not joining any of this bunch of nonsense, and try to explain why it's bullshit to all these people that, ask, okay, why aren't you a member of this or whatever?
When I was looking at your website, I like your approach, which is results. People don't do that. It's like, I'm gonna actually get you in a contract, 12-month contract. You want to work with me? It's 12-month contract. This, that, I love businesses that go, it's like, dude, I'll get you month to month, man, because I'm going to prove to you every month, and in your website, you just have results, you just have, you have a, whatever, truck accident, we were able to get this and we were able to get that, and it's not just fake reviews, it's results, bro. I mean, yes, you're going to get the people that are, why are you not accredited to do this? Why are you not accredited to that? But at the end of the day, I mean, if you say, something happens to, God forbid, something happens to me or my family or whatever, I'm going to want the guy that has actually produced results, not the guy that has the fancy website and the fancy accreditation,
Yeah.
And how would you tell somebody that has two businesses in front of them, right? One has 100+ reviews. The other one has maybe 50 or 12 or who knows. How do you distinguish the good from the bad, in your opinion?
I mean, just looking at that, I don't know that you really can, man. I think you need to probably contact whoever the owner is and sit down and talk to them face to face, or at least a phone call, or do this, and try to establish some human connection there to see if it's going to work out. I tell all my clients, listen, this is a business arrangement between us, and it's just like a marriage. And, for financial consequences, the case that I'm working on for you could have, it may be even more of a financial consequence than a marriage. So you got to make sure this is the right fit, because, the way I work is I put all the money, I, put up all my time, my staff, all the overhead, all that stuff, and I don't charge anything. And then, just like you probably heard a million times on the TV, you don't, reflect if we win. Yeah. So in any event, it's a partnership. It really is. And, you got to watch who you take on. And I that was probably one of the biggest mistakes I made. It sounded like a good case. I would take it on without really knowing much about the individual. And I got burned really big on one particular case where this guy was just a bad person. And he had a great case. The crazy train's here.
Yep.
What's up, guys?
Hey, guys.
Hey, guess what? I'm on the internet right now. You want to see it?
Come check it out.
Come check it out. I think it's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah, bro. No, seriously,
it's all they watch is YouTube, dude.
Yeah, you're going to be able to see your dad on YouTube soon.
Come here, look. Come here, show me live.
Check it out.
Come here. Want to say hi?
Yeah.
Hey, man, what's up? What's your name?
On the internet.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, look. You see, that's live on Facebook. I'm put it on
here
YouTube.
You come.
There you go, bro.
Oh, it's got a delay.
Yep.
So, what did you do at school today?
I went to lunch.
Went to lunch. What did you eat for lunch?
I ate deli. Got a sandwich.
Oh, and that's all? That's all you did? Well, I might have to have a talk with St. Mark's.
Man,
I'm not paying for you to go eat lunch.
That's an expensive lunch,
you to
man.
learn stuff, right? What'd you learn?
And I had a social studies test in my finger.
All
And I
right.
got all of them right, and I got reading test and I got all for it too.
That's awesome.
There you go, bro. That's
All right,
good.
love you.
Good.
He's a future YouTuber, I can see.
Dude, that's all they want to do. They want to be professional YouTubers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Influencers, man.
I think this is the first video.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're not on YouTube. I guess.
Oh, we will be.
Not yet. You'll be before the end of the day.
All right. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, man. You see, people keep joining.
So
How many joined people?
I mean,
how can you even tell? What is this?
Like, I mean, there's people cycle, but there's people like actually watching us. But look, that's how many people join. So
Gotcha.
Scott Smiley saying that it's too funny and stuff.
It's my lawyer.
And Scott, we're gonna interview Scott next because he's my attorney too, and he's a trademark attorney.
I actually hired him to do some work for me for my firm.
Yeah, so there you
Scott's
go.
a nice guy.
So Scott, you're next, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, your kid's performing behind you now.
Yeah.
He was dancing. So he's catching on real fast.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I lost the train of thought, but we were talking about, distinguishing. And basically, I think what you were saying is people and businesses have to do their homework, right? In your case, have to do your homework about, what cases you take on and why and the potential success of them. And at the same time, the consumer needs to do the same. They need to take their time and not just jump with whatever person shows up on TV or on the internet and seems good. Or is
and if you look at my Google review on the Bradley Law Firm in St. Louis, if you Google that, you'll see a couple whack jobs that have left like 1 star, and like a few of them I don't even know who they are. Yeah. Like for a while I thought it was like maybe a competitor or a marketing company for a competitor or something that. And then I know one of them is just a whack job prior client of ours that literally was arrested for, after we got done representing him. I mean, he was actually a YouTuber. And he got arrested for running around naked in St. Louis and doing all this crazy shit. But listen, I reached out. I'm like, why would you leave this review? It's not even accurate. And in any event, there's just people out there that try to leverage their position as it may be like a Yelp reviewer or whatever. I don't know if you've seen the South Park episode on that.
Dude, that is funny. That is funny, man. That is funny.
Cartman's a Yelper.
Yeah, man. And that's and I heard actually real stories about that. It's just, people go to a restaurant and they're like, you gotta give me a free meal, or I'm gonna give you about Yelp review, So, and it's like, really, dude?
So you can't be, you can't just look and say, okay, it's all good ratings. People that are perfectly good business people in whatever profession they do, they probably got some whack jobs out there that have left crappy reviews.
Oh yeah, I mean you can make everybody happy.
It's literally extortion. That's what they're doing. They want to extort something out of you to take down their review. And I've dealt with it. Thank God it hasn't happened a lot, but it's happened before.
Yep, no, that's true. So, dude, what would you, if people watching, entrepreneurs and just attorneys in general? I mean, what would you give as an advice to entrepreneurs and to just people that want to start their business? What path would you do it again? I mean, if you could do it all over again, would you be an entrepreneur or just an attorney? What would you think?
I would do it again, but I think that the path would be harder today than it was for me. I mean, when I started my practice, the internet was still, a relatively new thing. And I quickly jumped on that train and leveraged my ability to have a really well-built website and get a bunch of leads and stuff like that. And, that kind of gave me my platform to jump from. today, you know, like I said, every household's got a website. I'm sorry, I forgot the kids are here. Every person has got a website, and just because you got a website anymore, even if you put money behind it, there are people out there with better websites. Most everybody with a lot of deep pockets putting money into it. So it's harder now. So to answer your question, yes, I would do it again, but I think it would be harder.
Well, it's and that's even there. You know, the whole digital market arena is littered with people that tell you, oh, you know, we're gonna get you all these leads, we're gonna get you all this business, you know. And dude, I'm helping a friend of mine who owns a dentist office, man, and you know, I was talking to their website people. I mean, and you're like, really, dude? I mean, you know, they're telling you, these people are literally telling me, oh, dude, Facebook is dead. There's no way to do business in Facebook. You know, all it matters is pay per click and stuff like that. And you're like, do you realize Facebook is the biggest platform, social platform on earth, right? And Google ads, they're useful, but they've become commodities. You know, it's just whoever throws the most money at it, buying costs, cases essentially. Exactly, and it's no different than coffee or sugar, bananas and stuff like that. You know, so even that, I mean, I think what we've gotten from this interview the most is you got to do your due diligence, whether you're a consumer, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an employee, whether you're a boss. Just you got to do your due diligence, man. You gotta talk to people. You gotta make sure people show up. You know, and you know, sometimes it's like just asking something simpler, man. I'm willing to hire you, but I want you to do this 2-day project for me before I hire you. Yeah. You know,
and I literally started hiring people, and it said, listen, you're on a 90-day probationary. We can either, you can leave for whatever reason. I mean, it's at-will employment anyway, but at least it prevents hopefully an unemployment thing. But let's give it a 90-day run and see how it works. Yeah. And typically you can find out in 90 days if somebody's going to work out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Ryan, now that you've been in business for a while, but doing right for the customer, right? Doing right for the client, word of mouth and getting referrals. What percentage of your business comes from word of mouth and referrals?
You know, I keep a program that tracks. I can tell you down to the exact percentage if I would have known that's something you're interested in. I don't really pay attention to it. I should probably do a better job of that. It would just simply be a guess on my part, but I think we get a significant percentage from former clients and some from other lawyers. But I would say most of our cases would just be new leads from either our website or TV or whatever campaign we're doing at the time. We were doing TV for a while, and it was not even me or my firm on TV. It was just like a infomercial type thing through a third party. And we were doing that for a while, but the cases were not that good of quality. But I would say the best cases come from people that do the due diligence through the website that we become acquainted with and hire us for the right reasons.
That's kind of it.
Because I was going to say, for somebody that's getting started and doesn't have the money yet to put all this upfront marketing, as you get cases, the referrals are probably kind of your foundation, right? Until you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to invest more in marketing. I'm going to get more leads. I'm going to buy this. So at least to get people, on the right path.
Yeah. And I've had this conversation with a lot of attorneys, but sometimes, a referral fee that, typically in this industry, somebody refers you a case, you give them a fee, and that can be anywhere from 1/3 to 50%. Sometimes that's a lot more money than, the average cost of acquiring a case through a traditional media buy or something like that. So, but typically the better cases maybe come from an attorney referral. As opposed to
well, especially with your business that like you're saying, you don't charge anything up front, and you really only make money if you win. I mean, the attorney referring you it's gotta trust in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, he's not making any money either. He's not making the referral fee if you don't win.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, man, just because you can get the case in the door and just because you then know what to do with it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. My firm, I've had $500,000 invested in hard money in cases, and I had to put that money in to get it worked up. Experts charge a fortune of money. I mean, literally, if I ever stop practicing law, I'd like to be an expert witness. Yeah, because it's insane how much they charge. But if the people on the other end, the insurance companies, the defense lawyers, everybody's got a reputation. And if they know that you don't have the financial wherewithal to take a case the distance and actually take it through a trial, know what you're doing, and be able to financially support that, who gives a shit if you get the case in, or if you know what to do with it, if you don't have the financial resources to pull it off.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's being in business, man. I mean, it's that's the thing also with being able to go the distance, because it's not just showing up. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to happen. Yeah. And it's like the whole cliche of the iceberg. Everybody sees when you're successful, and it's like, oh yeah, the guy was lucky, or the guy had this, and they don't see everything behind it. That times you've lost money, that times you've been scammed, the times you've been sued, and it's it's funny because when my company started growing to much bigger than what it was, one consultant we have, he's like, you're gonna start getting sued, and I'm like, why? It's like, for whatever reason, man, you're just bigger, so you're just in somebody's radar, and you get sued. Sure enough, man, we got some bogus lawsuits on licensing and this and that, and yes, you have to hire an attorney and respond. They didn't never respond back. Yeah. But they just like basically throw shit to see if it stays, Yep. And it's just nuts.
Yep.
Well, Ryan,
and lawyers, man.
Hey, man, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today and kind of, giving some insight to people out there that are attorneys, business owners. We've talked about, mindset and the value that we get from this interview is to kind of help people get perspective on the different nuances of owning a business, whether it be in law, whether it be in technology, whether it be in any other industry, where at the end of the day, that mindset that you go into it with, and you start learning how to discern the good from the bad and making decisions based on experience and past failures. Because I think, the most learning we get is always from failing, right? Is always from things that we could have done differently or better or taken a different decision on. So, hey, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. And
hopefully I didn't bore the shit out of everybody.
No, I think you did great, bro. I think you did great.
Hey, this is going to be a classic one day.
Yeah, right.
Hey, man, looking forward to meet you when I'm in Florida.
Yeah, man, come work out with us, man. It's brutal. It's pretty brutal.
Hey, I'll be there early December, so I'll join you guys in the workout.
All right,
man.
All right, guys. Hey.
See you guys.
Thanks, bye.
Hey, it's our Potbelly pick.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.